Hi, Anya.
Anya,
I hope you had a nice Mother's Day.
I did. Thank you.
Okay.
We had bagels and lox with Max's family, and Kula played with one of her little baby friends. It was fun.
Oh, she has a baby friend. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, they're the babies.
All right. Okay. So here we go, Anya. Everybody knows Anya. She's been on before. Don't worry. I don't care. Anya is a writer for Gray Zone, and you can see her reporting frequently there. And now I kind of want her to come on weekly. So we're going to see what we can do here, unless, of course, we're on vacation. So let's hit it. I don't even remember what we're going to talk about. I do. Here we go. Nancy Pelosi, in 1941, America created Lend-Lease to bolster the defense of democracy from dictatorship. Today I signed a bill reviving this program to help the people of Ukraine fight for freedom. And as we reaffirmed to Zelensky in Kiev, we will be with them in the battle we won. All right. And then here are some funny takes that people said. What are you selling? World War III? Sorry, not interested. National Rent for Strike said, war is what our government wants. And here comes my favorite one. I didn't realize you were in Congress back then, too. Hilarious conversion therapy. And so, Anya, when you see, bring my girl right back here. Anya, when you see people talking about, Nancy Pelosi making sure that, we can continue to send billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine, and you see that she's making way for this, what are your thoughts? What are your observations about Nancy Pelosi?
I like to take out those tanks. Remember that?
Yeah, those MiGs. Let's see, the MiGs. I would take them out if I could take those MiGs out, right? And
yours is pretty good, I'll say. It's like all in the mouth, kind of like she's all of her muscles here are frozen from all the Botox and filler or whatever she has.
Listen, I'm gonna get Botox when I'm her age, but I will step down.
Good for her age. She does look. She's really.
She looks great for 100.
Yeah. Back when she started Lend-Lease, it's cliche at this point, even to just make the statement that anybody like Nancy Pelosi, who is advocating for more weapons to be sent to Ukraine, is only advocating for more suffering of the Ukrainian people. This isn't going to hurt Russia. It's not going to stop Russia. It's not going to even prevent Russia from achieving its military objectives in Ukraine. It's simply going to guarantee that this conflict goes on. And I mean, I don't know about you, Steph. Actually, I do know, because we were just in LA and I saw what it was like there. Not a pretty sight. Same thing in Washington, D.C., where every bridge that you pass has pretty much a homeless encampment under it. And we all know that the money they're spending on and sending to Ukraine could be used to fight a war on poverty. And so Nancy Pelosi, she's just a very, very sick figure in all of this.
And if we think that these people that are elected officials don't have mental problems, that they're not sociopaths, that not pathological for them not to care about the most vulnerable among us, because I was just reading, and, I'm sure lots of people already have the statistics, but we sent $33 billion to Ukraine, and it would take $20 billion to solve the homelessness here in the United States. But in the meantime, we want to continue to propagate war. All right, let's go on to the next topic. Here we go. Big topic. Oh, wait a minute. Did I miss something? Hold on. Let's see here. What? Here we go. What?
I know that, girl.
I got to go back to the top? Oh, okay. I got to go back to the top. You think, oh, that's it. That's what happened. That's okay. No worries. Don't worry about it. Okay, I'm totally good. Here we go. Biden once voted to overturn Roe versus Wade, saying women do not have sole right to choose. Always funny to hear a man say that. Always funny. Yep. Always funny. I do want to say this, though, really quickly, just for everybody, that I woke up this morning and I had a stomach ache and I was like, oh, got to get an abortion. Anyways, too dark. Okay. People are like, oh, my God. All right, here we go. As a senator, President Biden previously voted to overturn Roe versus Wade, having insisted the Supreme Court went too far and that women do not have the sole right to say what should happen to their bodies. The commander-in-chief was among those this week sternly decrying the leaked draft opinion that suggested the High Court was poised to overturn the 1973 ruling that legalized abortion nationwide. Biden, 79, said Tuesday that it concerns me a great deal that we're going to, after 50 years, decide a woman does not have a right to choose. However, his views were radically different in 73 when Biden became the youngest member of the Senate at 31 and just 17 days before landmark Roe versus Wade ruling. I don't like the Supreme Court decision on abortion. I think it went too far, he told the Washingtonian the following year, while stressing that he was really quite conservative on most issues. Do you hear that? Remember when, was it Pramila Jayapal said that he was one of the most progressive presidents? Oh boy, here we go. I don't think that a woman has sole right to say what should happen to her body, he said at the time. Oh, wow. You really think this gentleman has been able to grow that much that now he thinks it's okay for a woman to have control over her body? He held the same views a decade later in 82 when he signed a constitutional amendment that would allow individual states to overturn Roe versus Wade and make their own decisions about abortions as the current expected ruling would do. Okay, that was in 82. That human life federalism amendment sought to stress that a right to abortion is not secured by this Constitution. Biden was the only Democrat singled out by the New York Times at the time as supporting the amendment that the National Abortion Rights Action League called the most devastating attack yet on abortion rights. I'm probably a victim or a product, however you want to phrase it, of my background, the Roman Catholic future president said at the time. Okay. But you're a president for the country, not just for a faction of the country. You are a president to unify the country. The Times said that Biden called it the single most difficult vote I've cast as a U.S. senator. Okay, hold on. How about the Iraq War? How about that one? Was that difficult? I'm sure we could go through a list of other difficult votes that he took. However, he was unsure he had a right to impose his views on an issue that would affect the nation, the Times noted. The bill never made it to Senate, and Biden later switched positions and voted against it when it came back up a year later, the Times noted, saying such flipping on the key issue would become a hallmark of his political career. And then you all have seen this already. You mean this guy only said he would codify Roe versus Wade because he wanted our money and our votes? I think Roe versus Wade went too far. I don't think that a woman has the sole right to say what should happen to her body. Joe Biden with a really nice hairdo. All right, and I just want to play this clip for you.
Number one, Roe v. Wade's the law of the land. A woman has a right to choose. That doesn't. And if this court were to overrule Roe v. Wade, and I was president, I would make it legislatively. I would push to make it legislatively.
He would push to make it legislative. He would. I want everybody to hear that. He's going to push to make it legislative. One more time. Let's hear this one more time. Let's hear it.
Number one, Roe v. Wade's the law of the land. A woman has a right to choose. That doesn't. And if this court were to overrule Roe v. Wade, and I was president, I would make it legislatively. I would push to make it legislatively.
Okay. I'm not sure what he's going to make legislative. So now here we are with Anya Parampil. Anya, you know, when you're hearing and reading about this whole conversation, first off, you know, do you have any observation about that it was leaked in the first place?
Yes, my feeling from very early on was that this leak was not just a leak, but it was actually a politically motivated operation in order to rally support for the Democrats who are clearly on track to be creamed, to be destroyed in the midterms. The economy, and I heard Jackson making this point earlier in the show with Jimmy, and Jimmy's done such a good job documenting the flip-flopping stances of Joe Biden and former President Barack Obama. But basically, abortion is the one issue they've got, I think, where they can rally their base and actually remind people that there is a difference between the Democrats and the Republicans, and make people feel as though they have to vote blue because if they don't, or if they were a little bit bummed about the economy or high gas prices and thinking of trying something else, that we will lose a woman's right to choose. And it is definitely frightening that this is something that can happen in the United States now. But again, as everybody has made clear, the Democrats they could have before and they could now codify Roe if it was actually in their interest, but they don't want to because with everything with the Democrats, they never want to actually give you what they promise because then they might have to deliver on something else. And they don't want to do that. They don't want to have to give you health care or free education. They just want to always say, well, you have to vote for us because of abortion. And I do, again, it is cliche to make this point, but I am just shocked that organizations which I previously supported and I've been involved in their rallies, which considered themselves or brand themselves as left wing, and throughout the whole COVID experience, they gave up on the concept of my body, my choice. For the past 2 years, people that I know, organizations that I know, they supported mandates. They supported requiring people putting an experimental medicine in their body in order to participate in society. And now these same organizations are coming forward and saying, you have to be out in the streets for my body, my choice. It's really shocking to me that they could be so brazen in their hypocrisy. But I mean, at the same time, the right wing is also exposed themselves as hypocrites because many of the people who from the right were opposed to vaccine mandates and opposed to and supported the notion of my body, my choice when it came to the vaccines are against a woman's right to choose and are supporting this alleged impending decision by the court. So there's hypocrisy on all sides. I'm just glad, Steph, that I got to stand with you and other people on both of these issues as consistent, morally and politically consistent on the issue of my body, my choice. You don't get to pick and choose. I don't know if you remember this lady, Amy Siskind. She's one of the major shit libs of 2016, basically a Hillary Clinton robot on Twitter. I think she wrote for Salon. And I saw her recently post a pretty frightening video of a guy standing in front of, I think it was a court, telling women, pro-choice protesters, no, it's not your body, my choice. You don't get to decide. You don't get to decide what happens with your body. And she was rightfully outraged by that. But many of these same people who would define that as reprehensible are just, they don't really have any legs to stand on if for the past 2 years they were supporting vaccine mandates.
We were doing live shows here in Studio City, and I know like a couple of my friends had come to the show, and as they looked at our audience, and some of them were masked, most of them weren't masked, and I remember one of my friends sitting in the back row with a mask on. She left the show, and she's a liberal. And she's like, you people are crazy. I can't believe what you're doing. As far as I'm concerned, you all should be vaccinated. You all should be wearing masks. And I said to her, and I told you this, I go, oh, well, just like a true liberal, my body, my choice. And it was like, oh, no, but that's different because you're doing it for the good of society and your community. Oh, that's when it's So, that's when I don't have control over my body, when it's better for the community. All right. So I want to play this clip for you right now. This is Chuck Schumer. And I didn't get this one clip from him earlier. When I was watching last week when the story was breaking, he was outraged and he was at a podium and he was like, this is outrageous what the Supreme Court justices are doing. This is terrible. This is terrible, and, we're not going to stand for it. And he was very, and then, of course, then I saw Elizabeth Warren out there. I just can't believe what they're doing. This is unacceptable on so many that we can't do. Okay, so now here's Chuck Schumer. And let's hear, this is from another moment for Chuck.
I want to make 3 things clear. It's our intention in the Senate to hold a vote on legislation to codify the right to an abortion in law very soon.
When is that?
Second, a vote on this legislation is no longer an abstract exercise. It's as urgent and as real as it gets.
It has been urgent for decades, and the Democrats have done nothing. Here we go, continuing.
We will vote to protect a woman's right to choose.
Any day now they're going to vote on this. Let's see.
Every American is going to see where every senator stands. Which side are they on? Women's health, women's rights, a mainstream America that protects liberty, or on the side of darkness, retrograde history. So the bottom line is this. We are asking the public, I don't think we need to, but we are. We're asking the public to raise their voices.
What?
In the next week, let every senator know how you feel. Write, call, email, however you contact them. And continue to raise your voices throughout the year. Our candidates are already talking about this from one end of the country to the other.
So what I see and hear from Chuck Schumer is he saying that we should call, write, contact our representatives and urge them. I remember there was a Force the Vote group of people that were advocating for you to contact your representatives. And then that movement was undermined by a lot of shit libs. So when I hear Chuck Schumer come on and say that we should call, I did call. Have you called your representative? Because Chuck Schumer is saying you should call. Anya, what do you think about Chucky?
Well, the other point is that's just them putting the responsibility on the voter when they tell us that voting is the way that we're supposed to raise our voice, and people put Democrats in office to maybe, I don't know, codify Roe. That's something that now, I mean, I agree that people can be in the streets and should be agitating for any issue that they want to pressure their politicians to act on. But in this case, it's not really a surprise or a secret where the Democratic voter base lies on this issue. And so why is it not just their responsibility to whip up the votes and get it done? Why is it now our responsibility to call and try to convince them to stand up for women? It's ridiculous.
Right.
And as for the question earlier, I think you guys were considering, why aren't these protesters that are showing up at Kavanaugh's house and planning to go to Alito's house, why aren't they showing up at Nancy Pelosi's house or Chuck Schumer's house? Because this is a Democratic Party NGO sponsored or protest campaign. It's actually run by the Democratic Party. I subscribe to so many Democratic Party and liberal email lists that I no longer really support, but back in the day, I signed some MoveOn.org petition, and so I still get all of their emails. This is what they're rallying people to do. They're the ones putting on these protests, so they would never target their political leaders, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, because this whole operation is designed to rally support for Democrats in Congress and just get more of them elected, get more money flowing into the Democratic Party NGOs. And so that's why they're targeting Republican judges instead of Democratic lawmakers who actually have power to stand up to the judicial branch.
There is a clip, and we covered it, I think, in 2020, and it was Nancy Pelosi on Kara Swisher's podcast. And in the podcast, Nancy Pelosi clearly states that, Republicans aren't going to ever overturn Roe versus Wade because, they would have done it already. And they didn't do it when Trump was on office. They're never going to do it. And I thought it was really just like a peek behind the curtain that she was so sure that this was not going to be overturned in the way that it was like, it's just performative. It's just the way to continue to go, I'm pro-choice, I'm pro-life. And it continues to keep our country divided. And they're not interested in uniting our country in any way. They're just used to oh my goodness, isn't that interesting that it was leaked just after they had given $33 billion to Ukraine. And now this issue was leaked to the press to get us all up in arms over this issue. When I think I'm still very upset that $33 billion is going to Ukraine and not to my brothers and sisters here in the United States that have been suffering since the advent of COVID and the pandemic.
Yeah, that's money that could be spent on women's health, for example. And then, when you're talking about Nancy Pelosi making a statement like that, it's totally in line with this disconnected hubris that's so rife within the Democratic Party and Democratic leadership. You can point to the fiasco over Merrick Garland, their refusal to push him through and actually get their president's nominee on the court. And then again, their failure to force Ruth Bader Ginsburg to retire. She should have done that. There should have been a major effort on behalf of every Democrat to get her out of office while she was still alive. But they were just so sure that they could keep her in there and replace her because Trump would never become president. And this hubris has really come back to bite them.
All right. Well, Anya Parampil, thank you so much for stopping by today. I'm so glad that it worked out.
Me too.
And we will see you maybe, I don't know, we're going to be back in studio on Saturday. Usually we try to aim on a Saturday like for 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. So I'll keep you posted when we get back in town. And if you have any ideas for a story, you send it to my way anytime.
Okay. You guys are going to Iowa and where else?
Omaha and Kansas City.
That's so fun. Very jealous of the people there who can go to your shows because I miss you guys.
They're a blast. And we'll see you soon, Anya. All right. In DC. All right, pal. Sure. See you soon.
Bye.
We're doing live stand-up shows in Cleveland, Columbus, Pittsburgh, Des Moines, Omaha, Kansas City, Las Vegas, all over the country. Go to jimmydorcomedy.com for a link for tickets. And single tickets now available at all venues. So if you tried to buy one before and you couldn't, single tickets are now available. Plus, while you're at jimmydorcomedy.com, why don't you become a premium member? Sign up to our mailing list so when they cancel us, we can still stay in touch.